Samaritans. We'll be with you as soon as we possibly can. Please stay on the line. We're here to offer you emotional support, whatever you're going through. We're putting you through to a volunteer now.
Samaritans, can I help you?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very clearly. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you also clearly.
How can I help you?
I would like to talk about not being able to talk.
Okay.
14 years ago, the doctors diagnosed me as not existing. They said I was a neurological remnant and that I was already dead. They
That's unusual.
took away my human rights and left my daughter to be abused.
That's very unusual.
You know, I probably unusual to you. I think it happens to other people too. But let me try to explain it to you in words that you might be able to understand.
Okay.
If I was to start abusing you right now, you would put the phone down on me.
Yes, likely.
Right. Well, before I said that last sentence, I said something to you. Do you think that if you say that to a vulnerable disabled patient, that vulnerable disabled patient will or will not be offended by that? That I don't exist and that my children have to be abused? Do you think if I said that to you and you were in a vulnerable situation, you would find that offensive?
I think anyone would find that offensive, whether they are disabled or vulnerable. If somebody told them they didn't exist.
Exactly. So when somebody's offended, what they don't do is hang around and not put the phone down. They put the phone down. They don't respond to the person carrying out the offense. Excuse me, please, why are you saying that? Let's sit down and discuss this. Isn't that correct, what I'm saying? And therein lies the problem. That 14 years ago, the doctor said that I'm a neurological remnant, that I'm already dead, that I don't exist, that I have no human rights, and my children should be abused. And the way they presented it to me was in mental capacity statements. And I can't read those statements. In the same way that you would put the phone down on me if I was abusing you, when those statements are put in front of me, I want to pick them up and throw them through the window and smash up everything in the room. Do you understand?
Yes, I think so.
Right. So let's put it this way. In the same way, I don't have mental capacity because I can't be abused by being told that I don't exist. You too, you don't have mental capacity because you can't stay on the phone if I was to sit there and start berating you and insulting you.
Okay.
Right. My problem is, what is the difference between you and me? The difference between you and me is that you probably wouldn't be given the job as a Samaritans volunteer if you did not have mental capacity. But I cannot pass those mental capacity exams because I am neurologically disabled.
Oh, I see.
So the problem is that it's not twofold or threefold or fourfold. It's something. One, any human being would find it difficult to have a conversation about why they are perceived as being subhuman.
That's a dreadful term to call anybody.
Well, I am a subhuman because I have no right to protect my children from being abused, because they use these mental capacity statements to take away my children and have them abused.
But what's happened to their mother?
She disappeared at birth.
Oh.
I'm a vulnerable neurological person that ends up in difficult situations because of my level of marginalization. So I end up in a lot of marginalized situations. Like,
How old is your daughter now?
I don't know, 20-something?
Do you still see her?
Rarely. But I would like to talk about these mental capacity statements. That
Okay.
if I was in a coma, and I was told that my children are going to be abused, what could my responses be? One could be that I'm in the coma, but I'm still aware about the world. And so internally, I would be very displeased. I'll be lying there in a coma, unable to move, and people were just going to say to me, "You're in a coma, your children are going to be abused." Then that would be the person in a coma. Then there could be a person in a coma who can't even comprehend what's going on in the outside world. So it would mean nothing. However, we don't talk. The problem is that we're talking about the ego of a person in a coma who can perceive, and the ego of a person in a coma who can't perceive. Equally, you could have a person in a coma who could perceive, but could be brain injured to the point whereby they couldn't care. They could be on some kind of medication whereby being told that their children are going to be abused wouldn't offend them. I'm just trying to put my situation in perspective. Of course, I'm not in a coma, but I was put in a coma that caused my brain injury. Now I need to state about I can't read. It's 14 years since they declared this. I still cannot read these mental capacity statements. I have nobody to help me. The GPs won't do it. The neurologists won't do it. The hundreds of medical professionals I've seen won't. Nobody will sit down with me and help me read these mental capacity statements and help me understand from a neurological point of view why I don't exist.
Do you have an advocate?
No, I can't form relationships. And an advocate is not a neurological specialist who can explain to me these mental capacity statements.
I don't know how I can help you with that, but do you want to tell me what happened to you 14 years ago that caused this?
I was 14 years ago, my brother was trying to look after my children, and the police and social workers abducted them. And to get them back, I had to go to a lawyer, and then the lawyer had me declared as being no mental capacity. And my children, I never saw my children again.
You said you were in a coma. Did you have an accident?
I was ill. I was ill with malaria.
Oh, I see.
It's similar to carbon monoxide poisoning or encephalitis. It changes your behavior so that, for example, yesterday when I was trying to get onto the bus driver couldn't stop at the bus stop because the tourist coaches were there. And so I had to get to the hospital for a very important medical reason. And so I tried to speak to the other bus drivers who were just parked up having their dinner. And I was trying to explain to them that this is a bus stop where buses have to stop and pick up people, and they were parked there having their dinner. And that I had to get to my medical appointment. And they just laughed at me. And so I used language that would cause you to hang up the phone on me. That is why I don't have mental capacity. Because I have that particular neurological condition that when something is very important to do, I lose my ability to communicate in a pleasant, aesthetic, social, and unoffensive manner.
At least you're aware of it, which a lot of people are not.
No, that's the problem. I'm not aware of it. I can't tell when it's going to happen. It just, all of a sudden, I find myself in these situations. I even, I even felt like I wanted to vote for the Reform Party. I felt like a complete and utter racist. Can you believe it that my brain injury makes me into a racist?
I don't understand what brain injuries can do. I'm sure they can do all sorts of strange things to people. But you sound very articulate to me.
But just because I'm articulate doesn't mean that I don't have a brain injury or I have no mental capacity. They're different concepts.
I'm not diminishing what you said. I'm just saying you do sound articulate.
And that's a very bad thing, because when I'm trying to communicate with people and explain to them that I have a brain injury and I don't have mental capacity, that's the type of argument they will come back to me and say that I do. But if you get an expert on mental capacity to assess me, I will fail.
What is it you would like to achieve?
I'm trying to stop my children from being abused. The only way...
Your daughter's 20 now.
That is one daughter. What about if I have 1,000 daughters? What about if I have 1,000,000 daughters? What about if I have a billion daughters? What about if I have to defend anybody? It doesn't matter how many daughters I've got, because I could have other ones, couldn't I?
Indeed. And how many daughters do you have?
Can't remember, 5 or 6. But I've never lived with my children. I'm brain injured. I'm sorry about that. When I lose my ability to speak, I get amnesia, so I forget what I'm talking about. I need to get back to the important part. The important part is this, is that I've got... Last week I went to my neurologist. I was trying to explain to them that I don't have mental capacity. They're saying I do, but they're not. Of course, they're not assessing me for my mental capacity. But I've got. My problem is I have a neurological condition for which my own neurologist doesn't seem to understand the implications of. That's the problem.
So where are your daughters now? Who's looking after them?
I don't know where they are. I never live with my children. I'm a neurologically disabled person. I'm just used. I am just used. Okay? I am used because I serve a purpose. I have money, so I can give money to people. So if people have received money, then they will form some kind of very menial, basic relationship with me, so they can use that money. It doesn't mean that I can have a family, but they will use me for whatever purposes that is in their own mind, and I just become an object for them to use. You could call it rape if you want, but men can't be raped. I want to get back to why I'm trying to explain, is that I can't read these medical reports. So what I did yesterday, I read the text, because it's handwritten. I had to read the text into, your smartphone. It turns it into text, and then I put it into the computer, and then I asked the AI, what is it neurologically about my brain injury that means I don't have capacity? I'm doing this because the speech and language therapy people will not provide me with any speech and language therapy, because they say my type of brain injury is not something that they handle. I've tried lots of speech and language therapy departments, and I thought that might be a way of restoring my mental capacity. Then the neurologists at Queen Square, where I go, Professor Ray Dolan and Dr. Gordon Ingle, they are the two, and there was another one, Rory somebody, I've forgotten his name, but they don't, I'm sent there by my GP, but problem is that they're saying that I don't have a brain injury, and then they're saying that I never had malaria. How could I not have malaria? It's in the hospital records that in 1990 I came to the hospital for tropical diseases with malaria, falciparum malaria. And then they're saying I never had malaria. It's the same hospital, tropical diseases, and National Hospital for Neurology and Neurosurgery are part of the same UCLH organization. And the guy is saying, I don't think he had malaria. I had malaria, and that's what caused the brain injury. Well, do you think I've been doing nothing for 35 years? There are other neurologists that can say, yes, that malaria animals or parts of the animals or some part of it can go into the frontal cortex of the brain and cause swelling, and it can cause damage without leaving a scar. How can it last for 35 years? We don't know, but it's not impossible. How can I prove it? You just have to tell people. But I've got no evidence. They can accuse me of being a deluded fantasist liar. How can I don't even know if I have. I don't even know if the neurologists are speaking the truth. I can't work it out. All I know is I've got severe antisocial behavior. And the doctors just told me to go and isolate myself. That's the only way to handle it. In the meantime, I have to sit by and watch my children being abused. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. And every time I try and do something about it, there's nothing available. I can't get a guardian. If I get a guardian, I can't get my guardian trained.
Have you got evidence that your children are being abused?
I have sent thousands of photographs to people from the police files of my daughter being raped. And nobody will they just say, well, we don't know what those are. Or, you're making it up, you're lying. And I've even got the file reference number and everything. I've even been to the court 4 times to try and get a copy of the file. I even have letters from my MP throwing me out, saying the reasons why they won't talk to me, because my disability is so severe. I don't know what to do. I'm just trying to stop my children from being abused.
Do you still see your brother?
Rarely, not much. He's very far away. I don't know what I should do. I really don't.
You've been to the police. I don't know what else you can do.
Well, I'm phoning the Samaritans to try to explain why I cannot read why I haven't been able to read these mental capacity statements for 14 years. Because when I try to read them, it starts triggering the seizures. It's like if I read Jane Austen or Thomas Hardy, I fall asleep. But if I try to read
That's not unusual. Sorry, that's not unusual.
Yeah, I don't understand how I think people must have superhuman powers to be able to read those kind of things. But that's from my perspective. Other people have no problem. My particular issue is reading mental capacity statements. Partly also is that I'm semi-illiterate. I can't read and write very well. And also, I have a brain injury that caused me to have a seizure. If I have to, the only way for me to read this is to imagine that I'm reading it about somebody else, and that would reduce the seizures. But the problem is that it's almost impossible, because I know it's about me, and I know whatever's written in there is instructions to have my children abused. What I'm actually reading is a paedophile instruction manual.
And you have been to the police with all this evidence?
I have not. What would the police do? What would I say to the police? What is the crime that I'm reporting to the police? That I'm
abuse of your children. You're saying that your children are being abused, and that the police are not doing anything.
So the police have to arrest the doctors who are declaring me as not having mental capacity.
No, but who's abusing your children?
The doctors who've declared me as not having mental capacity, the police and the social workers who took them away, the MP who refused to speak to me, the official solicitor who was instructing my solicitor to have my children deported. Those are the primary people who took my daughter away from her family. The fact that there are paedophiles roaming the streets and raping children is beside the point. I can't go to the police and say there are paedophiles on the street. They will say, where are they? I said, I don't fucking know. How am I supposed to know where the paedophiles are? All I know is my daughter is homeless on the street being raped by them. The police will just laugh at me. What would they do about something like that? That is a situation in which I've been put. I am not sitting there next to my daughter in the same room whilst the paedophile is raping them.
You said you had some photographic evidence.
Yes, from the court. So when I was first called, they said that I have to go to a police station. I went to the police station. It took me 2 days to get there. I fell asleep. The police threw me out for falling asleep. I had a seizure. I could never find the police station back again. But I found the court. And the court went there 4 times to try and get a copy of the court file. And all I managed to get was a few photographs and the forensic evidence. What am I supposed to do with it? What can I do?
I just don't know how I can help you, I'm afraid.
It's sitting there on a shelf in a cupboard, just getting dusty. You do not know how difficult this is for somebody with a brain injury. It's hard enough to look after myself, let alone try and look after children. There is no support in existence to help disabled people look after their children. It doesn't exist. All the government ever does is take the children away and rape them. And I'm trying to stop it, and I don't know how. I can't find anybody to talk to about it, apart from Samaritans. I know there's nothing you can do. You didn't have to say that. Damn it. My problem is I don't know how to deal with my absence of mental capacity. I try to find a guardian, and the guardian just ends up abusing me. I try to talk to the neurologist, and they say, I don't have mental capacity, but they're not the ones who are assessing me. You know, I'm really sorry for having wasted your time this morning talking to a person who doesn't even exist. You must feel very offended. I'm so sorry.
I don't feel offended, but I do have to take some of the calls, so I'm going to let you go now.
Bye, thank you.